5 communicative functions here. Is a good source of feedback for the candidates. They can learn from their mistakes, and oftentimes candidates make plenty of mistakes. Maybe they said something stupid on a primary debate, or they actually change their stance on an issue because they find out their stance isn't very popular. Because you want to be popular, you want to stand where the people stand. Also, it becomes a source of information for voters. Very obviously, our first impressions tend to last with us, and so we'll see this or that candidate out there and think a certain something of them from maybe a news interview or a initial commercial or a flyer or whatever, and our impressions tend to stick with us. So voters start learning about the candidates more so in the primary season or the primary stage. Citizens start to get involved. They can volunteer, but also start watching stuff and start picking who they want to vote for. And then candidates oftentimes here, because there's oftentimes a little bit more interaction between the candidates and the voters here, because once the general election is happening, I mean, we got this, particularly if it's a presidential election, we got Secret Service and everything like that. You can't touch these untouchables. But the primary, oftentimes they're all over the place. I remember, I think I told the story that when I went to the Jefferson Jackson dinner, whatever it's called, that Clyburn holds, or no, that was the fish fry. The fish fry. It was 1990. No, it was 2008. Whatever. And Obama was there. Everybody was there. And I was from here to my Eat Like You Mean It delightful iced tea from Hardee's with President Obama. But he wasn't president. He just Senator Obama. He was eating some catfish or something. Point being, we have a lot more interaction with folks during the primary season, and oftentimes these candidates will say, yes, that's what I'm going to do when I'm in office. But sometimes it's going to come back and bite them in the butt, because candidates like to promise pretty much everything. Also, during this stage, we tend to determine who the front runners are. I've already weeded out the totally no way in HE double hockey sticks that these folks are going to be serious contenders. Here we start thinking, okay, who are really the front runners? And who become the front runners? Folks who have lots of money. Money, 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 money. Third stage, that was the second stage, the primaries. Source of feedback for the candidates. They can learn from stupid stuff that they have done. Lots of information to the voters. Citizens start getting involved. Candidates start making promises that they can't keep. And we figure out who the front runners are. And when we got the front runners, it moves to the third stage, and that is the nominating conventions. And one of the things that a lot of research indicates is that these days, I mean, they don't really nominate. They do. They go through the technicalities, but almost always we know who the candidate is going to be for a given party. However, I mean, in 2016, some folks were saying that some of the conventions were going to be contested, and with the close race between Clinton and Sanders, and and folks completely and utterly disavowing Trump. It was just really interesting to see how the convention, nominating convention stage at this time was a little bit different. But most of it in this case is very symbolic, because the nominating convention stage, it only lasts a few weeks, right? And so it's very symbolic, it's very ritualistic, in the sense, okay, this is going to be our nominee. We see lots of different speeches, and we see the balloons and streamers and Lee Greenwood singing, "I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free." So here are some functions of this particular stage, also known as the conventions. You reaffirm and legitimize the electoral process. So there's something about the whole process that, people voted. There are delegates, and they're going through, Oklahoma. You know how they say, they all have to say something about their state and go on forever, and before they actually, offer how many votes they have for a given candidate. From the great state of Oklahoma, home of Jason Munsell, where Jason was born, this great state of Oklahoma, home of Jason Munsell. We give our one vote to Jason Munsell. But it's sort of a very patriotic in lots of different ways. A lot of emotion, a lot of spirit, it's sort of like the Olympics, you know, USA, USA. People are wearing red, white, and blue and sparkly things. It legitimizes the party nominees. People need to rally together and say, this is our party nominee, this is the Republican nominee, this is the Democrat nominee, this is the green nominee, this is the yellow nominee, this is the orange nominee. No, that's Trump. No, this is whatever. And so it legitimizes that needs party solidarity. Contention is bad, and we saw some contention this time, but we really want everybody to coalesce together, go party, go team. So the next thing then is you demonstrate party loyalty. I'm all for the elephants, I'm all for the donkeys, or whatever party. And then what we tend to see is introduction of the candidates' main themes through all the various speeches and everything like that. I don't know what the link is there. Maybe a speech. I don't know. Oh, maybe it's I don't know. Never mind it. But usually we have all the speeches. Sometimes we have biopics. I think Clinton had a short biopic this time. I didn't find a biopic from Trump. But perhaps, Reagan started using these little videos that they would show at the convention before the actual big speech for the candidate. But the one that's gotten tons of analytical sort of attention is Bill Clinton's A Man from Hope. And so you might want to take a look at that. That's about 17 minutes. I think maybe I put that already on KC. But it's a really good example of some of the things, the communicative things that happen during the convention. Fourth stage, final stage, the general election. And the book actually doesn't say a whole lot about it, but we do have the candidates, and the main things that happen during the general election is we see the debates, and debates, even though I've said that they're problematic in lots of ways, they are important, even though people will see what they want to see and whatever. And then, of course, we have folks still running their closing arguments, and sometimes we have an October surprise. Hi, I'm FBI. But folks do rallies in the battleground states, spend all their money in the battleground states, so that's why we're not seeing. I saw some commercials last night when I was watching the World Series. It might have been to a complete national office. It probably was. But basically, the functions here, we learn. We get a lot more information about the candidates, even though it might not be a whole lot of information, but through our own research, through debates, whatever, we get a lot more information about the candidates, where they stand, and everything like that. And sort of this in really symbolic situation, this stage also showcases that our election processes work, and that we've had a peaceful transition of power, even if the candidate that loses does not concede. But we have a system that works, so a lot of this is patriotic. USA, USA, look, it wasn't a coup, because coup ain't cool. And then meeting campaign expectations, that is, that we see people rising up to the occasion. This is what we're going to do, and then actually acting on it. Maybe not. We shall see. One of the things that the book has to say about that. Where are we? Communicative strategies. This is the next chapter. Technology beating campaign expectations. Finally, the fourth stage here, political campaign, contributes to fulfilling our expectations regarding campaign rituals. We expect candidates to address themselves to society's problems. We expect debates, rallies, door-to-door volunteers, bumper stickers, buttons, continuous, that's what they mean. Continuous election specials and advertisements over radio, television, polls, all manner of drama, excitement, and pageantry. Woohoo! Ooh. Okay. And then my last bit, with the rituals. I do think one of the things that this book, I mean, it's not terribly dated. I mean, this book came out in 2011, but it doesn't say a whole lot in this last bit about social media. And so I do think that social media is unbelievably important. In fact, there was an article that I shared on my Facebook page about how there was an opinion that social media actually creates angered partisan voters. And that's true to an extent because sometimes you only see or go to the stuff that you want to see. But we've talked about the problems with media before, media biases. But I think there's just more to what they say here. But hopefully this has given you a sense of, just generally speaking, what we oftentimes think about when we think about the phases or the stages of political campaigns. But primarily, a lot of this stuff is used as the presidential campaign as an example. So the first stage, again, is surfacing. First, people are just people, but they surface as candidates. Then we have the primary situation where if it's a partisan race, where front runners emerge and we decide, oh yeah, these are the people, and then the convention where people are officially nominated and yay, 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 then the general election. So these 4 stages. I hope you enjoyed this. I will be back in touch with you. Probably have another online lecture at some point this week or this weekend. And I implore you again to go vote on Tuesday. And we're not going to see each other face to face on Tuesday because of the election. I want you to be involved in the election and do whatever you feel like you need to do. And that's it. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of the evening.